This video is part 2 in a 2-part series on the features in the KCSG Tools for Kartra membership template customizer, which is a pro and agency level feature. This part is on the mechanics of using the custom color mapping system, and I'll have some additional videos later on showing how to choose the colors and basically apply the tool. But for now, I'm going to show how the user interface works. So first of all, I'm going to go over to the Tools for Kartra plugin, bring up the membership customizer. Now, to use the Colormapper, you first need to choose the Kartra membership template style and palette preset that you're using. So for that, come over to your settings. If you pull up the preview settings, these are the template styles here. So just counting from left to right, that's number 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 6 of them, so there are 2 more over here. That's 5 and that's 6. So I'm using template style number 4, and there are 15 color palette presets. I happen to be using number 6. So I'm going to go back to my membership customizer, and I'm going to choose number 4, so you can see they're numbered on the left, and there's a brief description based on like where the navigation is and the number and type of columns. So I'm using template style 4 and palette preset number 6. So let me go scroll down here. There's a lot at the top, so let me scroll down to a place that's a little bit simpler. So the Kartra template basically has probably hundreds of color descriptions. There are very few actual colors because the colors get reused for a number of different purposes. And the color customizer has these maps. So here's how it works. For example, this color 55A822 is used in the template for buttons, headings, lists, menus and navigation, panels, product boxes, and progress bars. So that this color is used for all those things. So this over here shows the original color, which is displayed for a reference. If you try to change it, it just pops back to wherever it was before every time you try to change it. On this side is a new color, and what you can do is specify what you want to replace the original color with. In this case, we're in the headings section. So if you change the color here, it's going to replace this original color with whatever color I select on this side for headings. Now, if you want to change a color mapping as a group, if you want to change some or all of these other values to be the same thing so that it stays in sync the way it was in the original template, you can choose what items you want to have changed. So I can say, when I change this, I want to change the value in the list, which happens to be over here. Here's 55A822 for lists. So this is the one for headings, and this is the one for buttons. So if the selection here is in reverse, if it's white on black like these are right now, it means that this color mapping in these other places, so for example, the lists color setting has the same color mapping. They're all still on the original value, so they clearly have the same mapping because they're all still on the original value. So I'm going to leave these other ones unselected, and you can toggle them all as a group with this button down here. But I want to have the mapping for lists follow the changes that I map on headings. So a couple of things are going to happen as I change this. So let me change the color around here, and if you watch here, you'll see that the changes that I make up here also get reflected down here. So as I change the hue setting, the hue setting will change. If I change the saturation and lightness settings over here, it follows on the other color mappers. So a couple of things have changed here. You can see that the color mapper has switched from a white background with a black border to a gray background with a red border. So this is just visual feedback that the mapping has been changed. The new color is no longer the same as the original color, so we have an active mapping here. There's no active mapping here because the new color is the same as the original color, so there's no change here. So anytime there's a change, you can see it reflected visually. So as I scroll up and down, you can see, you can quickly pull out where a change has occurred. Now, these other items that were in reverse before, that were white on black, are now black on gray. And what that means is that their color mappings for these other items no longer match this color mapping. So if I unlink the setting for lists, and if I move this around, because I've decoupled these two things, if I make a change here, you'll see that changes here are no longer reflected here because I've disconnected the synchronization for lists. And now, because the values are different, this is no longer in reverse. So that means that lists have a different mapping value than headings. So if I want to resynchronize this, I can go click on this color swatch here, and it will resynchronize everything that's checked here to match this one's value. So if I click this updates to say that the value for lists once again reflects the mapping that's here. And this one, I can click on this color swatch, and so when I do that, a couple of things happen. Because lists are linked, it's pushed the change. So this resets the color back to the original color, and this one pushes the current color to all of other values that are synchronized. Now these other items, these other mappings match again because I've restored this to the original mapping. This is still synchronized. These only match because I've gone back to the original color. As soon as I change this, because lists are linked, these two will change again. This part of the display shows the either the hexadecimal color code or the RGB alpha code. If I change this to an alpha value, you'll see that it switches to RGB alpha. The bottom shows the hue, saturation, and lightness. HSL is for hue, saturation, and lightness. So this is the hue setting, and then the saturation runs from basically black and white on the left to full intensity on the right. So that's the saturation, and then there are darker colors toward the bottom and lighter colors toward the top. A lot of times in the templates, Kartra will use a common hue, so they'll have the same value on this slider for multiple settings, and then they'll just have like lighter and darker versions, or more and less saturated versions of that color, that hue, for other parts of the template. So it's very handy to be able to match a hue and then play with the saturation and lightness. So match the hue on this slider and then change the saturation and lightness, or just keep the saturation and lightness value the same and change the hue to match the hue of your brand colors. So let's take a quick look at what this looks like in practice. So here I have a user logged into my membership site, a demo user, and this is the native template styling here on most of these pages. So on the home post, it's got this kind of lighter color green, and the text is kind of semi-transparent, which when it's not being hovered over, kind of reduces the contrast here. Also, the native color for the headings is also green, and for this little underscore is also green. If I go to one of these posts and set a page favorite, the page favorite is a pink heart, which I'm not sure it really goes with the green, but anyway, I'm going to change this to a darker green background with a little more contrast, and I'm going to change this to a dark blue to give a little more contrast here and come a little closer in line with my busres.com logo, and then I'll change this to be a red heart instead. So I've gone through some of these settings before, so I'm going to just copy and paste these settings into my customization setting. So it's not necessary to reload the page or clear. Sometimes just doing a reset is a fast way to clear everything, but you can just load your page settings over an existing configuration, and it will replace all of the current settings with the saved settings. So if we look through this, I've changed some of the menu and navigation colors. Here you can see quite a few of these indicate from the background that they've been changed. And here's the, they call it a heading, but that heart is actually a heading setting, so I've changed that to red. So if I come down to the bottom and grab the custom HTML, I've just copied that to the clipboard. And on the home page, I'm going to edit my customization section, paste the customizations, save that, save progress, and then come back to my membership area. It's not saved on these two pages. These are set up for the custom home demo, but it is set up. Oh, I don't have my home section showing on this page. Let me go to it from here. So now we can see I had this settings preloaded on this page. If we go back to the welcome page, we see our home page has been relabeled welcome, and we have a darker green background, a little more contrast and crispness there. If I go to a page that you can do a like on, you'll see now it's red instead of pink. So there's an example of the color customization in action.